What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me this week, as always, is Luis Barranco. Luis, another week of baseball is in the books. How you doing?
I'm glad I'm alive. I'm glad I'm breathing. I'm glad I am in air conditioning right now. And it was a week of baseball. It was.
Well, that sounds like you had a tough workout class. Is that what you're referencing?
I did. I had a ridiculous workout class where I literally was like, yeah, we're not going to get into it. TMI. We're not going to get TMI, but
all right.
I saw God. It's the closest I've seen God in my life before. Like, there's been near-death experiences, but
come on.
But I feel like I saw God tonight, like for the workout class. I feel like I was staring up and I was like, oh, man, please help me, Lord Jesus. Like I was like Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby doing the prayer before a meal, like, please help me finish this class.
And those are always the best workouts after the fact, not during, but they do feel good after.
Yeah, they feel great afterwards, but like during, it's just like, oh man, like everything in life, it's all about the freaking journey, man. It's not about the end destination, it's about the journey. Like, oh yeah, like you do a workout class to get in shape and feel good, but the journey is fun. Like the day after, after class is the best. But it's a scorcher. It was a scorcher today. It was 103 degrees outside, 101 degrees outside. Big day. I know it's much nicer in Chicago. I mean, you're an animal. You literally ran a freaking half marathon yesterday. For like listeners, William ran the Chicago half yesterday, or not Chicago half, but he ran a
lifetime half. Yeah.
Oh, lifetime. No, lifetime. The lifetime
half. Yeah.
The TV channel. Did they give out like free subscriptions?
No, not the TV channel. The gym, Lifetime Gym half marathon on the lake. It was nice. Early morning for it. It was good. Kayla did it as well, and yeah, it was fun. I mean, I've done half marathons before in like training because I'm training for the Chicago Marathon in the fall, but the last like 4 miles are always just pretty tough. And it's all mental at that point. And I mean, if you can do a half, you can do a full, but I'm like, I got to do that whole thing twice. Like I got to go, I hit the finish line and I'm like, all right, now I would have to go run that whole track one more time.
Like, you're still running it down and back. So you went one way, now you got to run all the way back.
Yeah, I just can't. I mean, I'll get there, obviously building up in the training, but I was happy with my time, in my pace, but I don't know if I can run that pace for 26.
So let me ask you a question. Because like I've run too. I haven't ran in a while because I've had groin issues, just like soft tissue issues, which William's gotten on me for like stretching. I'm an not like I'm an anti-stretcher, but like I'm kind of like, put me out of there, like, let's go,
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna run, you got to stretch, but
yeah. So are you one of those runners that like, are you like, in baseball terms, are you one of those guys that comes out hot out of the gate out of spring training, hitting like 400? And slowly comes in positive, then a regression candidate, or you like one of those guys that once the weather heats up in the summertime, you heat up, like you're a back end type of runner that you get hot at the end and finish strong.
Definitely try to finish strong. I'd say actually I was more of a heat up in the middle months of the season where maybe it's not as noticeable. I purposely started very slow. I started out at about like a 9-minute pace, 9:05. That's not slow, like by any stretch of the imagination. But I was trying to go a little bit slower, and then toward the middle of the race, around the 6-7 mile mark, I was going at like 8:30, 8:25-minute miles. And then I did slow down for the last 4 miles. I was probably back to about 8:45, 8:50, 9 minutes to close it out. So I did probably ramp it up a little bit too much in the middle because I was getting hyped as we made the turn, etc. And finished with like an average pace of like 8:42. So I ran it in hour and 54 minutes, which I was pretty happy with. Just wanted to run sub 2. My goal to run the marathon, my first ever marathon, is sub 4. I don't know if that's going to be possible. We'll see.
What do you mean? What do you have so many months?
I know.
It's not that hard. Like you train for it, so it's
hard.
psychological. It's psychological. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, if you're healthy, like, as long as you don't have any injuries, it is definitely mostly mental. If you have injuries, like, then, like, you physically can't go. But anyways,
No,
let's
I'm
let's
more
get
of a, I was gonna say I'm more of a start slow type of guy. I start
Mhm,
slow, but then like when I've run eight, the most I've ever run is 8 miles. So like the
mhm,
first three, I take them light, and then I just start getting into it, and I start running 8:30s and I just go. But
mhm.
that brings up the topic of today's podcast. We're going to talk about the ladder podcast. This is I'm smoking on your top five today. Like we're doing a top five.
We're doing a first take, undisputed type podcast. We're doing amongst, we'll get into other stuff later, but we're going to start with top 5 players in each position so far this season. So this isn't, overall over the course of the last 10 years or whatever. This is this season through, the game's May 19th, today's May 20th. Top 5 players in each position. After that, we'll get into, some other news and notes around the league from last week. I mean, the Yankees are on fire. Paul Skenes has been interesting in terms of his play and things he said off the field. More on another update on just an interesting gambling saga that just keeps taking weird turns. Shota Imanaga is I mean front runner for multiple awards, I would say at this point, and we'll do injuries, our betting segment as per usual, and kind of also go through the team of the week. But you want to start with our top 5 players for each position in Major League. We're going to go through all 9, and then obviously pitcher or relief pitchers, DH, everything. So you want to start a catcher?
Okay, so let me give out my disclaimer and my criteria before we get
Yep.
abused in the comment section. So when I did my five, I brought up so number one, this isn't a talent because if we're going off talent, like there's guys that didn't make our list that should clearly be there. This
Mhm.
is the I base mine off of how you're hitting and how you're fielding. So when it comes down to catcher, some positions are going to have a higher value when it comes to when it comes down to what you call it to
Defense.
the defense. For example, catching is one of those positions that's very important with defense. I feel like we've gone over this in the podcast a lot, but I feel like catcher is one of those positions where you rather have a quarterback catcher that can manage a staff than have a an elite bat. But if you have both, you're cooking. So, in regards to that, let's get it going. So,
Okay.
my five. Number one, I'm taking Will Smith. Not Will Smith that with Will and Jada. I'm talking Will Smith from the LA Dodgers. He's number one. Number
Okay.
two, Wilson Contreras. Number two. Number three, I'm gonna actually switch my
Wait,
list.
wait, wait. Do you mean William Contreras?
Yeah, William. Well, yeah, I confuse
Yeah.
the brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the
I'm not.
Brewers.
I don't have any hurt players in my list. Like I can't have it. Can't have
Mhm.
that. I got William at 2, Adley at 3, Cal at 4, Raleigh from the Seattle Mariners, and
Okay.
Shea Langoliers at 5. Those are my 5.
Ooh. A's
So
representation.
yeah, there's
Love
some
it.
ace representation. Will Smith is one of the better bats at the position. He's not the best bat, but he's a steady Eddie, very consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. His framing right now rates out as number 4 in the game right now, and his defense is rated his. I use the metric of defense here on Fangraphs. It's rated out at number 3. Um, he's my number 1. Williams' bat has been incredible. He's gotten better defensively. He doesn't rate out as good of a defensive catcher as others, but he has single-handedly brought that team up. Adley Rushman, I just feel like there's stats for him that he may not, his numbers may not pop out like a William Contreras, and his framing numbers aren't. I can't find his framing numbers for some reason on Fangraphs.
I can pull them up. They're on Savant too.
Yeah,
Uh, he's got a
what's
sorry.
his what's his frame?
It's a -1, which actually isn't good, but his strength is blocks above average. He's got
Yeah,
a 6 in that regard, which is 98th percentile
so yeah.
on Savant. So
So -1, he rates out right above Contreras, but I think there's stats with him that you don't really he's a bigger dude, so it's going to be hard to frame with him. And then Cal Raleigh, he's been hitting the ball well, and he's the second best pitch framer right now in the game behind Bo Naylor, according to the stats. And then Shea Langoliers, he's just been a really good power bat in the middle of that A's lineup that doesn't get talked about. So I feel like he's
Yeah,
very important.
he's had a really good season. I mean, he's 10 home runs this year, and he's a good defensive catcher too.
Yeah.
89th percentile in called strikes above average, framing's a 1, so that's 69th percentile, and his pop time's good too, 86th percentile. He also can run for a catcher, 78th or 77th percentile in sprint speed.
Yeah, so that's my top 5.
Okay, I got a little bit different, but a lot of the same names. One different name. Number 1, I got William Contreras. Like you said, I know the defense maybe isn't there as much, but I mean, he is arguably in the MVP conversation in the National League. He's hitting 341 for a batting average right now with a 171 WRC plus. He leads catchers in Fangraphs WAR with a 2.5. Doesn't strike out a ton, 19.1%, 7 home runs on the season, also 3 stolen bases in there. I've been really impressed with him this year. And I'd argue he's the main reason that the Brewers are in first place in the National League Central. Number 2, another central catcher, but I'm going with Salvi. Nice little renaissance season for him. He was with the Royals for so long when they were bad. Obviously, he was on the World Series team in 2015 as well. But he was with them for the dog days, and we kind of forgot about him. Not necessarily forgot about him, but he was kind of just under the radar. Weren't really talking about him because they were so bad. They're good again. They're 10 games over 500 right now, and he's really good again. So been fun to watch him this year. 3rd, I got Adley Rutschman as well. You have him at 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a lot of fun to watch this year. I mean, for the last 2 years, him and another guy that we'll talk about later are the heart and soul of that team. They're going to be kind of their franchise guys for the next 10, 15 years. And those will be the guys that get re-signed first, I think. 4th, I got Will Smith, who you have number 1. And then 5th, I have Ryan Jeffers from the Twins, who's been really good. He is on my fantasy team. But he has 10 home runs, which is tied for first amongst catchers with Raleigh and Langoliers. But I do have to respect Will Smith. I mean, he's hitting 307 for a batting average with a 1.9 Fangraph WAR, which is tied for second amongst catchers. Salvi and Will Smith are tied. And then Devers is 4th, Adley Rutschman 5th, and Langoliers, who you have, is 7th in Fangraphs WAR right now for catchers. He is hitting 222, Langoliers, so that's part of the reason that I didn't include him. But overall, we have similar lists there.
You're low on Will Smith. You're very low on Will Smith.
I think the guys that I have in front of him are having better seasons. Like Contreras and Salvi are hitting better. You probably put a little bit more stock on this list on defensive catchers than I did.
Well, the defensive, that's your main job. Think about it. That's one of their main jobs. You have to also think about this is not just a hitting category. You have to both hit and play defense. And I feel like if you defense is already is one of the main stocks. Go look at a lot of teams how much they value defense. Martin Maldonado still has a job. And I'm not saying he's a bad catcher, but like he's known for his defense. He can't hit the barn side off the part of the barrel. He can't hit for jack.
I think he's hitting over 100. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Will Smith, he's not good blocking the ball. He's not good blocking the ball.
Yeah, but his frame's crazy. I'd rather have a framer than a guy that can block pitches.
So in terms of catcher framing runs, which is a stat that is tracked on Fangraphs.
Yeah.
The number 1 framer on this is Jose Trevino.
What do you see?
I'm doing catcher framing runs. And then also if you do strike percentage, Jose Trevino is first as well.
Right now for framing, I have right now for FRM the frame. It's Will Smith at number 4. Jose Trevino doesn't even pop up in my thing.
He might not be qualified. He might not have enough games.
That's why I looked at qualified. I looked at qualified only.
Yeah, that's probably why. See if you. I think you can filter out.
I can filter out. So let's filter out. Let's put 50 innings. So as the framer, Jose Trevino still ranks that at 3.9 for frame.
And Smith is first at
Smith framed at 1.6, but if you look at his defense, he's at a 5 point. I just saw him 5.5. So regardless, we're not gonna pour you to death with stats, but
yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, that's catcher.
First baseman, Christian Walker's had a year this year for Arizona. He's my number one first baseman. Numbers just look so good on him. Pause. Bryce Harper, number 2. You know what you're getting out of him. He's kind of refound himself at first base. Freddie Freeman, like I said, you know what you're going to get from him year in, year out. Josh Naylor at 4 from the guards, and Jake Cronenworth at 5, who has had a revival year in San Diego.
Similar list for me, but I have one name that I think you probably should have had on yours. Number 1, I have Bryce Harper. I mean, he's hitting 273 with 10 bombs, 1.7 Fangraphs WAR. Number 2, I have Christian Walker as well, who's been tearing it up for an Arizona team that's been disappointing this year. He has 8 home runs with a 1.4 Fangraphs WAR. Number 3, I have Josh Naylor, who is absolutely raking for a Guardians team that desperately needed some power this year. He has 12 home runs, which is just behind the major league lead of 15 right now. Fourth, I got Freddie Freeman, consistently, going to be hovering around 300 with good walk rates, good strikeout rates, just a pro. I have him fourth. And then fifth, I also have Jake Cronenworth, who I honestly didn't realize he was having this strong of a resurgent season, but I mean, 275 batting average, 8 home runs for Cronenworth. I mean, he's not known as a power guy, so impressive to see those numbers up there. 1.4 Fangraphs WAR and a 140 WRC plus. He's been really good for a San Diego team that's been getting things going. I mean, they've looked really good against Atlanta over this weekend series that's bled into a doubleheader today on Monday. So I like Cronenworth this year.
So who did you put at 1 again?
I got Harper over
Christian Walker. Harper, Walker, Naylor, Freeman, Cronenworth.
Yep.
I mean, that's not bad of a list. I mean, it's just hard because I feel like your big names. Your Pete Alonso's hasn't had the year he has. Tristan Casas could have probably been on this list.
Pete has 10 home runs. Like, the power's there, but he's hitting 229 for an average. Just isn't good.
And it's 229, and then I get called for losing my marbles for offering a closer. And good thing. So
you're gonna keep bringing that one up, huh?
Yeah, because I love how the Skenes have worked out. So lost my marbles. Okay, family. So
little inside baseball there. A little inside baseball.
So yeah, we pretty much agree. Who do you think out of those lists can move up as the season progresses? Who do you think is going to fall off your 5?
I wouldn't be shocked if Cronenworth maybe falls back to earth a little bit. I think Harper, Walker, Naylor, and Freeman are all honestly going to be there. I think a name that maybe isn't on here right now that could move into this list is Vlad Jr. I know that's surprising, but maybe the power isn't there for him this year, but he's still hitting 285 batting average with a 127 WRC plus. Like, the numbers are there in terms of getting on base. His strikeout rates aren't awful so far. I also look at like a Ryan Mountcastle just being in the heart of that Orioles lineup. He can get hot. Maybe like a Vinny Pasquantino, and obviously like a Pete Alonso can get on that list. Torkelson's been hitting a little bit better. He's got 3 home runs. I think he had 2 home runs in the Marlins game last week. So, but I feel pretty strong about this list.
I do too. I would think Tristan Casas can come up here. I'm very high on Tristan Casas.
He's been hurt, right? So I think that's the reason that he's not.
And so I forgot who said it, but somebody said that little off topic. I remember last week we got the huge data drop with the bat speeds and the bat angles and all that. I forgot. I think it was Casas, but I can't remember. But somebody was talking about pitchers have Tommy John and UCL injuries because of velo. I feel like one of the guys, like the veterans, I think it was Casas, I can't remember who, or Tyler O'Neill, said the equivalent to that, the hitters that we're going to see at Friday is obliques and rib injuries. And that's what Casas has.
Yep.
Casas has a fractured rib right now, and he's out on the 60s. So,
Yeah, because they're just trying to swing so hard.
I mean, Luis Arraez was getting interviewed last night on Sunday Night Baseball, and he's like, man, I don't care if I don't swing like Stanton or Judge. I just don't put the ball in play.
And that's what he does.
And he was talking about his mentor, Rod Carew. And who was Rod Carew's mentor?
Ted
Tony
Williams.
Tony Gwynn. They were mentoring. They would mentor each other.
Okay, I was gonna say they were playing in the same time. About actually,
right around.
When,
Carew's older.
Yeah, Carew's older.
Rod
Carew
Carew
played from 67 to 85, and Gwynn played from 82 to 2001. Yeah, Carew's older. So how would Tony Gwynn be a mentor for Rod Carew?
Or like the other way around. They were talking about
the other way around.
Definitely the other way around. I was cooking. I was hungry, man. I was making some.
It's okay. Man. Another name at first base is Lamont Wade Jr. He's been really good for the Giants. 321 average.
Singles king.
What?
Singles king. Not in that way, but singles king.
He is 885 OPS, which is still solid, but definitely more of a singles kind of guy. You want to move to second?
I feel like this is going to be hotly contested. Well, not this one. I think this is cut and dry. I feel like the one after the next one, we're going to have a lot of discussion. For second, Altuve, he's back to earth. Ketel Marte at number 2. I know you're going to probably have Ketel up there, 1 or 2. Bryson Stott's been getting on base a lot this year, been doing really well. I feel like he's one of the most underrated Phillies on that team.
Then I put him in my stock market report today. He's been really good in May.
I got Marcus Semien and Bryce Terang at 5, who's kind of fallen off a little bit, but in the past 2-3 weeks, he hasn't been hitting up to his early season starts.
Okay. I'm surprised you have Altuve at 1. I have Semien at 1.
Altuve's number. How do you put Semien 1? As a proud Marcus Semien fantasy baseball owner, Altuve is leaps and bounds the best second baseman right now in the game. Statistically, defensively, he's hitting like 307, I believe, right now. Let me pull it up. He's hitting 307. Yeah, he's crazy.
So
307 average right now. The only other people on second base that have a higher average right now is Luis Arraez and then Bryce Terang.
Okay, if you want to talk defensively, Altuve is a -2 outs above average, and Mr. Marcus Semien is a 12 outs above average, which is, I believe, first amongst first basemen. I mean, he's in the 100th percentile there. I also know for a fact that he has 9 home runs, which is more than Altuve's 8. Yes, the batting average isn't as good as Altuve's, but he also has a higher Fangraph WAR at 2.1 versus 1.6 for Altuve. Defensive rating on Fangraphs 8.1 Semien, -1.6 Altuve. So anyway, I have Semien 1, Altuve 2.
Time out. Altuve has better on-base percentage and a better slug than Semien right now.
He does.
And I believe more ISO.
What about
not ISO, but I'm just telling you, Altuve is Altuve.
I mean, yeah, he is. He earns the benefit of the doubt.
You put Semien in the Houston lineup and it's tough.
I mean, Semien is coming off a World Series. No, I know it's this year. It's this year. So Semien 1, Altuve 2, Marte 3. I have Bryce Terang 4 and Bryson Stott 5. So we have the same 5 names.
It's just preference. Whatever tickles your pickle more. Pause. It's just. I'm just very disappointed in Texas this year, and I kind of think that puts a little bit of bias. I will say I do have biases, but I feel like especially with Texas hasn't been good. Texas is like really struggling. Like they're borderline 500 right now.
I mean,
and Max Scherzer isn't coming back soon. He was supposed to be back within the next couple of weeks, but they ramped him down again for another.
They are 500. They're 24-24. They just came off a week where they lost 2 of 3 against Cleveland and 2 of 3 against LA. They got swept by Colorado the week before that. They're playing at Philly for 3 and at Minnesota for 3 this week. Have fun. They're facing Ranger Suarez, T1 Walker, and Zach Wheeler this week, followed by Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, and Pablo Lopez. Not a fun week for the defending champs.
They'll win the Texas series, the Minnesota series easily. Paddock's hittable. I watched Paddock start last Tuesday night. Yeah, no, Wednesday night. It was Tuesday or Wednesday when it was against the Yankees. It was Tuesday night. Yeah, it was Tuesday because we potted Monday, and then Tuesday I got home and I watched this. He's very hittable, big fastball guy. Even though he's been throwing the fastball a little less, I think that's hittable. I just feel like what comes down to Texas is their pitching. Their bullpen's atrocious. Like if they get to the ninth, Kirby Yates does well, but it's getting to the ninth. You don't know what you're gonna get, and the bats, their other guys just haven't been well. And I kind of feel like I'm kind of like with Simeon, it's just like he hasn't been like MVP Simeon levels or like 300 Simeon levels from years past. And the team's just struggling. And I feel like Altuve has been doing really well in Houston. And Ketel Marte, you're a big Ketel Marte guy. We're Ketel Marte guys. And I feel like there's a common theme with these second basemen. Struggling teams, except for Bryson Stott and Tarank.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Like the top three, your top three, like what you were putting your top three, like talent wise, they're all struggling.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Let's go to third base. I think this is going to be very cut and dry. I got Alec Boehm at 1, Jordan Westburg at 2, Isaac Paredes at 3, Rafi Devers at 4, McMahon at 5. Boehm's a mutant, not a mutant. He's an alien right now. On alien level.
Yeah, 330 batting average.
Westburg has been a pleasant surprise. He's got moved up in the lineup since hitting in the back half. He's gotten moved up in the lineup. Paredes is keeping the Rays afloat, pulling balls like no other. And then Ryan McMahon, another, just doing it in Colorado. Numbers may be inflated in Colorado, but still, Buddy was on a mutant pace, alien level pace. So those are my 5.
I have a slightly different list. I have Boehm 1, Paredes 2. 3 a name you didn't put in there, but I got Rafi Devers.
I did put Rafi Devers at 4.
Oh, sorry. Missed that. Misheard. I got Devers 3. A name you don't have on here. At 4, I have Jose Ramirez, J-Ram. He has 11 home runs. The batting average isn't there, 253, which it's okay. 119 WRC plus. But the 11 home runs, that leads qualified third baseman, so I had to put him on here. And then 4th, I have Jordan Westburg as well, who, everyone in that Orioles lineup is good. He's hitting 295 with 7 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 1.8 Fangraph WAR, which is 3rd amongst third basemen. So, yeah, Devers has been good. 9 home runs, 285 average, 1.5 Fangraph WAR, 158 WRC plus. You can read the numbers, but he's just another one of those guys that's really consistent year in, year out.
That contract, we're probably going to look back in a couple of years and be like, that's a steal of a contract. The Devers deal?
I can look it up. I remember
it's below market. It's below market, top market, and you can make the argument that he's the best third baseman bat in the league, in my opinion.
It's just, I think, yes, now he's 27, but he's under contract for the next 9 years. He's under until 2033. And he's at $29 million. It's basically going to be $30 million a year for the next 10 years or so. I just worry how he's going to age, especially at third base.
It doesn't matter. The bat. You don't need bat skills, and it's not like he's contracted until after 35. Nolan Arenado's makes top at that market value, like 32, 33, around the 32, 33, 35 range. So, to me, it's just
contracted. Sorry, I was going to say he's contracted to age 36. That's going to be his last contract for sure.
Yeah, but my thing is not a defender. Nolan Arenado can make this list, and Austin Riley are 2 guys that can easily make their way up this list. But Nolan Arenado has no pop anymore. Absolutely no pop anymore. And then Austin just had a rough start. And McMahon's bat has come to life. He's one of those guys which, like, we can make the argument, like we said, could drop down. And, a sleeper, I'm a big Christopher Morel guy. I am a big Christopher Morel guy. I think if he puts it together, he can make it up. It's just, he's like a Javi Baez type of clone, type vibes. Not like
he's a more controlled Javier Baez, but he plays with a lot of passion. 9 home runs on the year, but he's only hitting 216. So it's like, yeah, he hits the home runs like Baez used to, but he strikes out quite a lot, 20% of the time. Austin Riley, yeah, he's been hurt. He's dealing with an injury. He hasn't played in like a week. He's not on the IL. It's just day to day, which has been really frustrating for my fantasy team purposes. But yeah, he's a name. I mean, Matt Chapman, probably not. Defensively, sure.
He's heating up.
Who else? Like, I think a name that we've talked about on this podcast before that's been it's been really disappointing this year is Manny Machado.
El Ministro, the Minister of Defense. Really,
yeah, he's hitting 224 with 5 home runs and a negative 0.1 Fangraph WAR.
What contract's going to be worse, Machado or Correa?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I feel like they're both the same type of, not player, but same like vibes.
I think I would probably say Correa, just because of the injury concerns.
What position is? Well, Machado also has injury concerns too.
Yeah, but Correa had the physicals.
Mm-hmm.
How many years is Correa under contract for?
I don't know.
I can look it up. I mean, yeah, okay, it's not as long. It's only 3 years. 3 years, 3 more years guaranteed. Well, actually, wait. That was wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more years guaranteed, and then he's got like 4 years of options, vesting options. He's at 33 this year, 37 next year. It's a lot. I mean, especially for a small market team like Minnesota. San Diego's a small market team too, but they love to spend. Machado, just for comparison, I can look up his deal and see what he's making, but he's on. I mean, okay, this is close. Machado's making 17, but then when he turns 34 in 2027, he goes up to $39 million. 2027 through 2033, the last like 7 or 8 years of his deal, whatever, he's going to be making $39 million, and the deal ends in his age 40 season. Okay, the correct answer is Machado.
Those contracts are going to age so bad for the Padres. They don't win anything in the next 2 years, that team is doomed. Like, legitimately doomed.
Mm-hmm. And they've traded so much of their farm. They've spent so much on big free agents.
It doesn't even matter what they've done in their farm. I feel like they're one of those teams that does a really good job at, like, they've replenished their farm. Like, for all that they've given up, they've done a good job to like replenish.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good model. So I just feel like those contracts are going to be unmovable. If you don't move them soon, oh my God, it's going to be awful.
The Bogarts one is concerning. He's been bad. He just got hurt today.
Now you're hopping on the Bogarts train? The bad Bogarts train?
No, I mean, I still think he's, a super talented baseball player, but he's going to be making $25 million through his age 40 season. Very similar contract to Machado. I guess if you're a Padres fan, the good news is 2033 Machado, after that season, Machado and Bogarts are off the books. And now the bad news is that's 9 years away. And they're only going to get older, but they gotta put it together for a season.
There's kids that don't even know what baseball is, and they just go to Padres games. Oh, they're good, and they're just gonna grow up and be so disappointed that, like, once they fully can go the games and do all they want to do, like, they're just dog shit. Like,
yeah, that team. The back half of those contracts might be grim for that team.
They're gonna be so.
Right. You wanna move to the?
I feel like here we're gonna have debate.
Most important position.
I just want to. It was shortstop. I was thinking, like, the future of the game is within the shortstop. Like, I feel like this is the deepest position right now in the game right now. Like, I was having a tough time deciding who was going to make it and who wasn't going to make it. So
I think this is far and away the best position. Far and away.
far and away. I got Mookie at first, not at first base. Well, he could freaking play first base for all we know. He's played second, outfield. He's played everything. Bobby Witt Jr. at second. Gunnar Henderson at 3. Ellie De La Cruz at 4, and then CJ Abrams at 5.
Okay, can I get my list before we talk?
Go.
I got Mookie 1, 2, because we decided Mookie's going to be a shortstop for this list. He's played the most games at short. Second, I have Gunnar Henderson. Third, I have Ellie De La Cruz. Fourth, I have Bobby Witt Jr. And fifth, I have a name you didn't put in there, Jeremy Pena.
You're not picking CJ?
I am not picking CJ Abrams. He's been struggling mightily of late.
You're doing that on purpose. You're doing that on purpose. Yes, you
Look
are.
at the numbers. He's hitting. His numbers are not as good as Jeremy Pena's.
Yeah, but because he's been having a rough stretch. His OPS has dropped dramatically. Let's just be honest.
He's hitting 269.
269. Yeah, his OPS has dropped. He's had a tough little stretch, but he's still a better base runner. He steals more bases.
He only has 2 more stolen bases than Jeremy Pena.
Jeremy Pena. Okay, well, regardless, let's get down. Ellie De La Cruz, you over Bobby Witt?
Yes.
For as much as I love Ellie De La Cruz and I'm a Reds homer, Bobby Witt's bat is way more developed, and Bobby Witt's just a way better, just all around player than Ellie right now.
Yeah, but Ellie De La Cruz could hit 30 home runs and get 80 stolen bases.
I feel Bobby Witt can do just as much.
Bobby Witt. So Ellie has more home runs right now than Bobby Witt. He has more stolen bases than Bobby Witt. His average isn't as good. OBP goes to Bobby Witt slightly, and slugging goes to Bobby Witt as well. Fangraph WAR goes to Bobby Witt. WRC Plus goes to Bobby Witt. Defensively, I mean, you're probably going Bobby Witt over him as well. Bobby Witt is has 9 outs above average, which is the 100th percentile. His savant page is like all red. Ellie De La Cruz, his outs above average is -1. So yeah, Bobby Witt's probably the better all-around player, but I just think the fact that Ellie De La Cruz, there's a discussion around him right now that he could get 100 stolen bases in one season, which I might be wrong on this, but I don't think it's been done since Ricky Henderson. That is insane.
Well, the thing about Ellie De La Cruz is, like, if he's on first, he's on third.
Yeah.
It's the thing is I mean, the Reds are just so bad this year.
Yeah.
It's like I've said on the pod, my buddy, I have a good friend of mine. He's a big Reds homer, very biased, and he's already like given up, and it's mid to end May. Like we've given up, and it's just with Ellie, the team goes wherever he goes. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, what position he's going to play at the end of the year?
Where do you think they move him? Like third or second even?
No, second, not a chance. Because the Reds have McLean coming back in August, who projects as a short or second baseman. Novelli comes off as well from PED suspension after 80 games. We're like 40 games away. And then you can't put him at first because that's Encarnacion Strand whenever he gets healthy. So it's kind of like at the point it's like, where is he going to play?
Yeah, and then on the other side of things, Bobby Witt is, I mean, the face of the Orioles franchise, a team that's good. Sorry, yeah, what I say, Orioles?
Yeah,
I was thinking about the next guy too.
You can't.
And he's got that team 10 games over 500. Clearly, far and away their best player. Plays 5-tool guy, does everything well. Yeah, I mean, I very well could have him at 3. I just put Ellie over him for this list, but it's a toss-up.
I think Ellie is the more important player to his team. I feel like if Ellie isn't on that team, I feel like they're picking top 3 next year in the draft. Like they're one of the worst teams in baseball.
They've had a lot of injuries, to be fair.
Who? The Reds?
Yes.
Okay, think about the injuries. McLean, 1.
Huge. Friedel.
I think he's good, but I don't think he's a game changer.
I mean, he was one of their best players last year.
I mean, that's up for debate. Will Benson was better. Will Benson's regression has regressed mightily. He's at
What
the
about
point where
Spencer Steer?
he's hurt right now. He started off hot. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I'm just saying if you take Ellie De La Cruz off that team is just as bad as Miami Marlins.
This year, yes. Last year, maybe
Last year's
not.
different, but I'm just saying right now, if you take Ellie off, they don't win. They don't win. They don't get up to 30 by till end of July.
30
And
wins?
I don't think because they're like at
They're that
18.
bad?
I don't think they get up to 30 till July, mid-July. They're that. I'm telling you, they are that bad. Like, yeah, they have good players playing well individually, but I'm just saying that team is just bad. I feel like that team is just poorly constructed, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm going to spend minutes talking about this. But Ellie is the most important. After that, I'm taking Bobby Witt as the second most important to his team, and Gunnar Henderson, I have him above Ellie because I mean he's just going nuclear. Like
15 home runs, tied for first in baseball right now. He hit an opposite field home run at Camden Yards. I think it was on Saturday.
That's ridiculous.
In the ninth inning. He went opposite field on that massive wall back there.
Utah Street.
This guy's on another level right now. No. He's a lefty. He hits that big
wall. Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you this. I feel like this shortstop list could change so much. We can spend the whole podcast continuing to talk about and bore you guys to death talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm just to the point like we don't even have Trey Turner on this list, but he's hurt.
He's hurt, yeah.
So it's like, dog, like what are you gonna do?
Volpe's been good.
Yeah, I'm a Volpe guy.
He won't be starting at short for the American League. It's gonna be Gunnar. Or
Pena. Pena's making a run.
It's gonna be Gunnar or Bobby Witt.
If Volpe has 2 good weeks, like right now, I'm putting up the Volpe for ASG campaign. We're doing the Volpe for All-Star game.
You want to move to left field?
Right. I got left or right. What do you want first?
Let's do left. I think left's weaker than right.
Left's pretty easy. This has been probably the weakest position. I was like drawing straws. You know, this is the epitome of skipping rocks on the freaking lake, man.
This one's pretty bad.
It's literally trying to find somewhere open that's not Taco Bell at 2 a.m. in the morning after you're out at the bar. That is left field right now. Finding something, Chipotle's closed. The Golden Arches is open, but you really want to go eat Golden Arches, pay $10, what is it, for a quarter pounder at this point? With inflation?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gone in a long time.
It doesn't, there's no sub places, La Forchetta. You don't have La Forchetta up here, so it's brutal. For you podcast listeners, La Forchetta was a place that we went to when William was studying abroad. We would come home after, just going around, just looking at the city sights of London. We would come home at 1 o'clock in the morning. We were hungry, like, let's just go pound some La Forchetta. Armand, so that's how left field is. Left field there's nothing good except La Forchetta. Like you're always going to end yourself finding yourself going back to one thing. And right now I have Jerkson Profar, Tyler O'Neill, Riley Green, Stephen Kwan, and Brandon Nimmo. That's my 5.
Okay. I got Profar 1. 2, I went with Teoscar Hernandez from the Dodgers. He has 11 bombs on the year. I got O'Neill 3rd, Kwan 4th, and Cowser 5th. Colton Cowser, who's been struggling lately, but I put him 5.
I put Teoscar as a right fielder. That's what I have him classified as.
Okay, yeah. I can pull up the exact breakdown of games.
Yeah, but we're not going to get too deep. But I'm just saying this position is just hard. I mean, there's not really much we can talk about. Profar, O'Neill are probably top 2. Riley Green's keeping the Tigers afloat, and then Kwan's, again, average king at this point.
Mm-hmm. And he's hurt. Kwan is hurt, but he's played a lot of. He's still qualified at this point, I think. So
Nimmo's not bad. Nimmo's not bad either. Like we can have a competition. Like his average is there, but he's getting on base. I feel like if you decided to trade him at the deadline, I feel like you would get a lot of takers for him. I feel like people would eat up that contract. I
And
think
he
he's
just got a new deal last year.
It's like 8/180, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's that bad of a deal.
He plays good defense, and they put him into left this year. I thought it was pretty impressive that he was okay with moving over to left field with Bader taking over in center. Team sucks, or not? Yeah, they kind of suck. But left
He's,
field, we don't need to spend too much
he's
time on. But that's
31.
okay.
Right? You're telling me if you're a contender, you wouldn't take Brandon Nimmo, a $20 million a year type player?
A lot of money.
What do you mean, a lot of money? 20 million?
It's a lot of money.
Well, in the context of life, yes, it's a lot of money. But I'm just telling you, would you? I'm just you wouldn't take him. You don't think that would be an upgrade for any contender right now
I'd rather have Verdugo.
because he's off next year. But I'm just looking at other teams like the Dodgers. Who's the Dodgers having left?
Well, Teoscar plays left
Yeah,
for them.
he's on right now. He's playing in right, suppose. That's what Savant has him as right now.
So 32 games in right, 24 games in left. I mean, he splits time.
You're telling me they wouldn't have Brandon Nimmo over Chris Taylor or Kike Hernandez out there in the outfield?
I mean, yeah, they absolutely would.
Over Brandon Nimmo?
I mean, let me.
I'm just saying Brandon Nimmo is great.
I mean, hitting 217.
But he's on base. He's on base, and he's playing on a dog garbage team, a dog water team. I'm just saying.
If you look at their positional breakdown, you got Teoscar playing a lot of left. Pages has not played left.
Look,
it's mostly Teoscar. I mean, Teoscar's pretty good.
I know he's pretty good. I don't, I'm not.
11 home runs on the season, 4 behind the big league lead. Let's get off of left because this.
You want to go? You want to talk about right then? Let's do right.
All right. I think number one should be unanimous.
Unanimous. 1, 2 should be unanimous.
All right. 1 is Kyle Tucker.
No, Soto.
Oh, I put Kyle Tucker number 1.
What are you not putting Juan Soto? You're literally like, I'm Soto shuffling around the house now. Like I'm literally every time
home runs, man. He leads the league in home runs. He's walked more than he struck out on the season.
Oh, Soto's a freaking mutant. Yeah, he's a mutant. Yeah, he doesn't steal bases at the clip, but dude still has a really nice base range. Where like dude's a freaking mutant. Like, let's.
What is there on a baseball field that Kyle Tucker cannot do?
I know, bro. We had this conversation.
About Juan Soto.
We had the conversation last week. If Kyle Tucker had Juan Soto PR, or if Kyle Tucker was Andres Tucker or Kyle Tucker, like he would be a $500 million player.
And apparently the Astros might not be able to pay him. He's got a 1.09 OPS, which is better than Soto. He also has a better WRC plus. He has a better Fangraph WAR. He's got a better OBP. He's got a better slugging percentage. Average isn't as good as Soto. Soto's hitting 311. Tucker's got a better walk rate, worse strikeout rate, more homers, more stolen bases. I think Kyle Tucker so far has had a better season than Juan Soto. For as great as Juan Soto has been, he's probably going to get $500 million plus this offseason.
So we're gonna we're gonna do the Toter Sucker debate. That's gonna be the debate we're gonna talk about in July. The Soto Tucker debate. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm just like Soto's been playing, hasn't been hitting the ball well recently. Like he's been really unlucky. But I'm still taking Juan Soto.
And Tucker's got 1 more year of arbitration before he's a free agent. He's 27 right now, and Soto is 25. I can just pull it. Soto's 25. I would rather have Soto for the next 10 years than Kyle Tucker.
I can only imagine
it's really close.
I can only imagine the return that Tucker would get in a trade. I feel like it's super underrated. But like I said, if Kyle Tucker had a Hispanic name, I think like people would talk about it more. Because it's just no thrills. No thrills.
Yeah, he's boring. He's not a big personality. I agree. But he's been incredible.
What do you think he would end up? What do you think is a good fit for him? I was reading Seattle. Like, why would Houston want to deal with Seattle? And Seattle would break him. I don't think he's going to get traded this year.
because I think they're going to make a run. I mean, they're already 4 games back in the West. If they decide to move him like next year at the deadline, but
Well,
like
wonder.
the thing is, I just don't think they're not going to be good, and I think he might just go into free agency and they kind of see what happens, and he plays the next 2 years in Houston.
Well, where would make sense?
I mean, obviously not New York. Well, I mean, New York would make sense if the Yankees don't get Soto re-signed this offseason. I mean, he could go to the Mets. The Mets are in business.
If Juan Soto does not resign with the Yankees, I think the Bronx would burn.
I think these next deals, Tucker and Soto, either one of them will end up in one of the New York teams or both of them will. I don't think there's a world in which neither of them end up on one of the New York teams with their next
I
deal.
just don't see Tucker as a New York guy. I don't see him as a Mets guy. I just don't see it. I don't know. Soto 100%, but no. Next guy, Connor Joe for Pittsburgh. He's had a year.
Wow.
Very good year. Teoscar at 4, Ronald Acuna at 5. Connor Joe has. There's not many people else you put out right.
I can't believe we forgot this guy. Third, I put Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh crap! I did forget about him. How did I forget about him?
Yeah, fourth, I have Adolis Garcia, who hasn't been great at all. I mean, he's been struggling a lot lately, but he does still have 11 home runs on the season and a 251 average. So the season numbers aren't awful. If you go break it down like over the last month or so, he's been really bad. And you're anti-Texas right now. So, but I still put him on there. And then fifth, surprising name. I'm going with fifth. I put Mike Tauchman.
Yeah, I'm taking Connor Joe. We're gonna list some adjustment. Tatis, Connor Joe, Hernandez. That's my 5. That's the bad. I mean, Connor Joe doesn't get respect because of it's Connor Joe. And Connor Joe always starts out with his years, and like Mike Tauchman does the same thing. They all have these electric starts that get on base, they get singles, high average guys get on base, and then they fall back on a cliff. But Connor Joe has been one of the bright spots in the Pittsburgh lineup.
Yeah, he has.
I feel like he's been a very, very positive thing on that team. For a team that can't hit, yeah, give me him. But I feel like we have the same 5. Ronald Acuna is the only one that can make a run. He's not been great this year. His Savant pages, they on Twitter this weekend, they were doing a comparison of his Savant this year and last year, and they're like, how did this dude fall off a cliff that hard?
At some point, you're going to hop on the bandwagon of I'm concerned about the Braves.
I'm not.
I know. At some point, you will. They're already digging themselves a hole in that division.
Call me in July.
All right. I'll file that away. I'll file it away.
They can be trading for Zach Eflin, and Zach Eflin will fix that rotation.
Okay.
And they got Smith Schwarber coming up. They're fine. They're fine. Hurston Waldrop, they're fine.
Let's fly through DH.
Center field. You forgot center field. Let's fly center field. I think center field's easy.
Oh yeah, we didn't do center.
1-2 is easy. Judge Bellinger 1-2. Duran at 3. Jazz at 4, and Brenton Doyle at 5.
Wow. Okay, we have different lists. I have Judge Lock 1, not even close. Big gap, Jarren Duran 2, 3, Jake Myers from the Astros, who's had a really good season.
He's been decent.
4, I have Dalton Varsho because he plays really good defense and he's hitting the ball at a good clip. Average isn't quite there, but really good defender. And then 5th, I put Cody Bellinger.
No love for Jazz. Wow, man.
No love for Jazz, but he's up there. I mean, he's got a good WAR, 1.1.
I'm telling you, Jazz is a Miami return. I'm gonna be coming to his last games, man. It's gonna be sad when he gets traded. I mean, the only bright spot. I have no disagreements. I'm just big in the Cody Bellinger department. Durant's had a great year, and Brennan Doyle has been one of the bright spots. He's slowly gotten it going for the Rockies.
Best defensive rating amongst center fielders is Dalton Varsho.
Dalton Varsho. Congratulations, but he's on Toronto.
I know. I'm just saying, like, he's had a good season. And Bellinger has 7 home runs as well. He's been good. Kevin Pillar.
Yeah, but he just got
average. He's only 29 games though.
Yeah, he just got called up. I mean, the Angels are handing out contracts, man. If you ever played some type of professional baseball, or you ever played MLB ball, or gotten close to making the bigs, just call up the Angels. You'll last chance you vibes.
Yeah, it's the who he play for Angels, like we talked about last week.
DH, Shohei Ohtani, Marcell Ozuna, Ryan Jeffers, Jordan Alvarez, and Giancarlo Stanton. I think that's unanimous. That has to be unanimous.
Can,
5.
can you say it again? Sorry.
Ohtani,
Yeah.
Ozuna,
Yeah.
Jeffers,
Yep.
Alvarez,
Yeah, I have Alvarez.
and Giancarlo.
Yeah, I just put Jeffers at catcher. So I have Ohtani, Ozuna, um, Stanton. I put third. I put him ahead of Jordan. Stanton has 11 home runs. And then fifth, I put Kyle Schwarber.
I don't need more Stan propaganda. I need the Sam propaganda to stop.
Stanton is hitting 252 with a 132 WRC plus 11 home runs. He's
Stop,
actually not that bad.
stop with the pro Stan propaganda.
Why?
Stop. Trust me, you'll find out soon.
Are you trading for him or something?
You didn't hear that.
All right. Let's move to starting pitchers.
I have a question.
Okay.
Dan Crafts made an article, and I'm going to ask you this: you think Stanton can hit get the 500? He's at 413 right now, and he is 34.
If he stays healthy, yeah, he'll run into what is that, 83 more?
Yeah, something like that. Right now, he's at
87 more.
How many games has he played this year? This year he's
41 already.
41. So 41 times 3 times 4. So it's around 4. So let's do the math. So if we extrapolate that, Stan should hit 44 home runs. So 44 minus 11, he should hit 33 more. Sorry, guys, I'm doing math right now. 33. Why did 33 weeks pregnant come up on Google? Plus 411. He'll be at 444 home runs if he keeps up this pace by the end of the year. So he would only need about 56 more in the next for his career.
And he's 34, under contract for a while still.
He'll hit 500. I think he'll make Cooperstown if he gets 500 easily.
Yeah, he's got that MVP in his pocket. Not that that's a lock to get in your Hall of Fame. He's got 4 more years, including this year, under contract. And then he's got a club option for 2028, which I probably don't think the Yankees will pick up. But I do want to tip my cap to the guy for all the hate he's gotten. He's been playing good baseball, and he's been great for the playoffs for the Yankees before too. So shout out to Giancarlo. 500, yeah, that's a Hall of Fame milestone for sure.
In 2014, bro, he finished second in MVP voting.
Yeah, and he won it in 2017, right? And then got traded to the Yankees that offseason.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw, oh God, won the MVP that year, and it was nuclear. Like
in 16, yeah, people forget how good freaking Clayton Kershaw is, and he's a first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famer. There's that new book that came out about him that looks really good.
It's just a matter of time. But that year, Kershaw had a 1.77 ERA, went 21-3, 239 strikeouts. Jesus.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the guy is unbelievable, and it's unfortunate all the struggles with the postseason. That's the reason he gets knocked.
He has a ring now.
It's certainly part of his legacy. He does have a ring. I still think he needs to get another one to kind of knock off that Mickey Mouse ring vibe that people are throwing out there. But yeah, he's the best pitcher of our generation, I think, bar none.
But if he gets another ring, I feel like we'll have a conversation. It's like, oh, he won it with Shohei, and look at all the people he had. That'll be the next caveat. He was carried.
I mean, what are you going to do? It's not one of those sports where if you have LeBron, you're going to be in the finals every year type thing. So.
Hey, that's a perfect segue to next. We have 2 more categories before we can stop boring you guys to death. Let's go through starting pitchers this year.
All right, number one, I think we both have Shota Imanaga.
No.
Oh, you got Scooble?
Scoo.
Right, I got Scooble too.
Scooble 1, Imanaga 2, 3.
Ranger Suarez.
Got that one.
Who do you have?
Ranger.
Okay. 4, I put a surpriser, but Dylan Cease.
Interesting. Oh, he had a bad
He's been
start.
so
Yeah.
good.
I put Tanner Hoke at 4.
Okay. And
And
then
then
5, I had to put a Red Sox, so I put Carter Crawford 5.
I put Tyler Glasnow at 5.
Okay.
That's my 5. I feel like
Okay.
all these guys, if I feel like this year's Cy Young race is going to be very, very tight. If all
Yeah,
these
it's gonna
guys
be.
continue,
Yeah,
like it's going to be like drawing straws and like, what do you want? Like Imanaga's crazy, and we'll just get going now. Do you think Imanaga can win both the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year? Be the first pitcher since Fernando Valenzuela did it back in the day.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, he's gonna win the Rookie of the Year. He's got a 0.84 ERA, second in Fangraph WAR right now. It just seems he leads the league in in ERA. It just seems like every single start, it's been lights out. 7 scoreless, 7-1. 7 innings, 1 earned run. Like the dude's been incredible. He's adding another dimension to this Cubs team, where he brings them a that ace that they maybe didn't have. And you put Justin Steele behind him. It's like, okay, all of a sudden that rotation is like kind of good. I would have loved to see Stroman opt into the deal and see what that team would have looked like now with those three. But yeah, I absolutely think he can do it. Another note on the Cy Young races, I think it's fascinating because there aren't really any of those big names like a Scherzer, a Verlander, a Kershaw. It's kind of these new era guys, Skubal, Reagans, Corbin Burns, even who's a little bit more new era. And then you have your Dylan Ceases, who's a little bit newer. Ranger Suarez has kind of come out of nowhere and put himself in that conversation this year. I mean, Chris Sale's having a resurgent season in Atlanta, which is he needs to keep doing that for them if they want to have a good run in the postseason, I think. But Breed, yeah, I think he had a bad start last time out. Darvish is there. I mean, there's a lot of names, and I think because like Garrett Cole is not going to come back till I think like July. So, and he's not going to be in the race. So it's going to be a bunch of these kind of newer guys in the race for the Cy Young this year. It should be fun.
Relievers. My guy Clay Holmes, number 1.
Okay,
Mason Miller.
I got those flipped. I got Miller 1 and 2 Clay Holmes.
And I wouldn't mind flipping that. It's just Clay Holmes has literally been like give the ball and he finishes the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen him had issues, which was the Tampa start. He had the Friday Tampa game in Tampa. Mott Stram. I feel like you can easily make a case for all the Phillies, like a lot of the Phillies bullpen.
Yep.
Hoffman and Mott Stram. Emmanuel Clase at 4, and then a surprise, Reed Garrett for the Mets.
So we have the same guys. I put 3. I put Clase, 4 Strom, and 5 Reed Garrett. So
see, there you go. I mean, all I'll say is it's been a weird year. Your steady eddies in pitching have not been that good. Like it's been like completely flipped. Like Verlander struggled, like you said.
mm-hmm.
Scherzer, DeGrom, we don't know when they're coming back. Garrett Cole's out. No Sandy Alcantara. Your usual suspects are all hurt. So it's kind of like a changing of the guard. Even with relievers, you see it with Craig Kimbrell, which we already knew he was cooked, but he struggled. Josh Hader, he's been good, just hasn't had the opportunity to pitch. And it's been a lot of new guys in the pitching in the closer department and relievers.
Yeah, I think it's the only sport really that offers this kind of parity. Like, in basketball, your LeBrons, your Currys, your Durant's, they're going to average 25 plus a game and be in, some of the best players in the league. It's just, last year's MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., hasn't even been the best player, hasn't been a top 5 player, in my opinion, in his position this year. I mean, it's the only sport where stuff like this can happen. The parity year over year makes it a really, really fascinating sport. And it's one of my favorite things about baseball is the fact that so much can change year to year. And it makes it even more impressive, those guys that can come in and do it every single year.
Don't forget about Edwin Diaz, which perfect segue. Our news and notes of the week. Edwin Diaz was demoted from the closer role.
I mean, yeah, that's big news. He's been horrible.
Haven't you seen the Twitter meme where like every time like he's at the end of the game this year, he's like, pop up, look up, and they've been home runs. Like he has this like signature where he's like, oh, it's a fly ball, and then the ball just continues to carry. It's home run. He's like,
Yeah, it's one of my pet peeves is when pitchers. It's one of my baseball pet peeves when pitchers point to the pop up, and it's very much a ball that's going 400 plus feet. Like, no one's gonna get that one.
You know what it sounds like to me? Like whenever he does that, it's like your buddy, yo, you should do this. And you're like, dude, I can't freaking do this. You understand? I don't have enough. Like you're getting tasked to do something you can't do, and like they're expecting, like, dude, why didn't you do it? It's like, bro, the ball's 400 feet up. What do you want
Yeah,
me to do? So yeah, the Mets have been struggling. The Mets. Did you see the Mets play today?
today, no.
Yeah. Oh my God. They think they're playing the guards, and they hit an infield a ball to the shortstop. The ball gets thrown to second. It's a clear like infield like out. The
Uh-huh.
second base, this guy on second starts running to third, gets caught in a rundown,
Oh
and
my gosh.
then they tag him out, and then the guy off first starts running the second, and it's a double play. Like just like, oh God,
Meet the
like
Mets, baby.
the Mets are. Paul Skenes went 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, struck out seven to start the game with one walk. Tell me about it, man. What do you think?
I mean, he's next up. He backed up his comments before the game, basically saying, he was like, "Good luck," when talking about adjustments. Like, yeah, they can go out and make adjustments on me, but good luck. And then proceeds to do that. He could have kept going for the no hitter, but his pitch count was up there, so they took him out of the game after the sixth inning. I mean, the guy's next level. He's next level.
He's nutty.
He is. I mean, he's kind of the future. I think of he's the next Verlander. He's the next Kershaw. He's as long as the guy can stay healthy, and that's obviously a huge caveat with pitchers. I think he's next up.
What do you think he does Thursday? He pitches Thursday against the Giants. What do you think?
Is that at home?
I believe so. I believe he's at home in Pittsburgh.
Giants are probably looking at 6 or 7 innings, 1 earned, 2 earned runs with 10 plus strikeouts. Like that's the basically what I'm expecting from him every single start now.
Do you think the Giants even get a hit off of him? Let's compare to what lineup do you have more faith? Cubs or Giants?
Cubs. And he's
Exactly.
faced the Cubs twice.
And he shut both of them down.
Yeah.
Next thing, let's talk about. We already talked about the LA stealing 30. Showtime, we talked about. Talk about the New York pitching staff this week. What's up with the Yankees? What's going on in the water of the Yankees? What a week. You have a good
Yeah.
season versus the Twins and the White Sox. I know they're not the greatest teams, but hey, let's talk about elite performances from Luis Heel. My guy, Clark Schmidt, Defense League stocks looking great. You all can go back and look at my takes about Mr. Clark Schmidt. Talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the hitting's coming along. Aaron Judge is on fire, but the pitching rotation, all of this is being done without Garrett Cole. And Luis Seal came in most strikeouts by a Yankees rookie in franchise history, more than El Duque, who had 13. Luis Seal had 14 on Saturday against the White Sox. And then you have like Schmidt, Stroman had a really good start tonight against Seattle. He's through 7 scoreless. Um, and all of a sudden, it's like there was a depth issue at starting pitching with the Yankees heading into the season. We thought all of a sudden it's like once Cole comes back, one of these guys is going to have to move out of the rotation, or maybe you go with a 6-man rotation to kind of give Cole some rest, more rest days. But all of a sudden you have like surplus pitching, which is a great problem to have. You also have Luke Weaver in the bullpen, who is a converted starter. Has been our best long reliever this season. I mean, yeah, it's all going right for the Yankees. I will say the next 2 series this week are tough with Seattle facing a lot of good pitchers and then going to San Diego over the weekend and having to face Cease, Darvish, and Joe Musgrove. I believe those are the 3 we're facing. So we'll learn a lot more about them after this week, I think.
They
Coming
faced
off a
Castillo. They faced Castillo too. They faced I think it's Kirby. Tonight was Gilbert, Kirby. Then I think it's Miller or Wu, and then they got Castillo. Like they're you
Mhm.
get murderers row this week.
Yeah, and they're winning 3-0 right now in the 8th because Seattle cannot hit the broadside of the barn. Um, But we're going to learn a lot about them this week. Signs are encouraging. You still have to temper expectations because it is May, but this team does feel different just with Soto, and it just feels like a different vibe, different energy around this team than we've seen, in previous years, like 2017, 2022, and things like that. So it's exciting for the Yankees right now.
So now my next question is who in the I have a hot take. And I've said it and you haven't responded to it. I don't think Rodon makes the playoff rotation.
Yeah, and you said that. I think out of all the starting pitchers that we have right now, like he has blow up potential that concerns you. Like he has that. You can see him having that start where he goes 2/3 of an inning in the playoffs and gives up 4 or 5 runs, and all of a sudden the game's over and it's crisis management at that point. I totally see that with him. Like I don't see that with Stroman. The only way I see that with Heel is if he walks a bunch of guys. Now he hasn't played in the postseason, so that's concerning.
That's what I was going to say. My concerns are okay. Ideally, if Cole's healthy, he has to pitch.
Yeah.
One. Then it's in Stroman. You paid him that money. Stroman's going to pitch too.
Yeah.
Because between Stroman and Rodon, Stroman, I'm more confident. Now it's game 3 and game 4 that you're deciding. You're deciding between Schmidt, Heel, and Rodon. Rodon does not inspire any confidence in me. It's there's a reason why he was dropped off my team. I literally watch him and I'm just like, I just feel like you said, I feel like he'll have a Severino start in the playoffs.
Yeah, but for the reason that you said, Stroman will be the 2 starter, you could use that same logic to say that Rodon will be the 3.
So then you're going to shut out Luis Gil, who's probably been you're probably your best pitcher in the rotation this year. You're going to bump him out?
Well, we just don't know what he's going to be pitching like in October. I mean, it's a long season.
I'm just saying it's tough. And the thing is, I hope Aaron Boone and management do not get into a scenario where they use the contract to define the role in the playoffs. Which I feel like, because think about it, if you're a player and you're getting paid whatever Rodon's getting paid, and you're like, oh, you're going to be a long reliever, you're not going to pitch in the playoffs. How mad would you be? Like, that's why you came to play in New York. I feel like if you come to New York, you come to play those games, and when you sign that contract, you're signing on to be in those games.
Yeah, totally. And I would be. He's going to expect to get game 3. I think
that's
probably what's going to happen. It's probably what's going to happen.
And then we're going to bump out Heel and Schmidt. Of course, my defense league brothers are getting knocked out. Like y'all don't deserve them. Like, my concern is with the Yankees, the back half of the bullpen, getting to Holmes.
Yeah.
So I feel like that will be addressed. But regardless, he's been crazy. Talk about David Fletcher.
Yeah, David Fletcher. Formerly of the Angels and a close friend and teammate of Shohei Ohtani from 2018 to 2014, bet on sports with the same bookmaker who took wagers from Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. According to the report I'm reading from The Athletic, Fletcher and a close friend, Kobe Schultz, who spent 2 seasons in the Royals farm system, bet on games through Matthew Boyer, an illegal bookie who Mizuhara also used to place bets. Mizuhara was charged in April for stealing over $16 million from Ohtani. Fletcher appears in multiple photos Schultz has posted on Instagram. Fletcher's bets did not include baseball games, but Schultz's wagers, his friend, included games involving the Angels that Fletcher played in, ESPN reported. ESPN also reported that Schultz is the associate listed as bookmaker 3 in April's federal complaint against Mizuhara. Obviously, MLB players cannot bet on games, minor league or major league. Players are also not allowed to place bets on baseball on their behalf or assist with bets made by any other players. So, interesting story that came out. He wasn't betting on baseball, so ultimately I don't care that much. Now, he could have been giving inside information to Schultz, which is concerning. And does Ohtani have any type of connection to these 2 guys? Because Ohtani was best friends with Fletcher, apparently, one of his good friends. So, I don't know. I mean, this story didn't get as much press as obviously the Ohtani one did, but I think it's an interesting tidbit that's coming out for sure.
He's a converted He's now pitching in the minors, pitching as a knuckleballer in the Brave system. David Fletcher.
David Fletcher, really?
Yeah.
He's an infielder.
He's now a converted pitcher. He's pitching a knuckleball. I think it's in Gwinnett. He's pitching for the Gwinnett Blues.
He's only 29. I mean, do you think they'll boot him out of the league? I didn't realize he was still playing.
I mean, they booted out Jonte Porter.
Yeah, they booted him. He's
So
gone.
the Porter family is reeling right now.
Yeah, tough year for them. I feel bad.
Tough year. Yeah.
Last thing, the City Connects.
Did you see him?
Yeah, I did. They were released today. I really like them, except the hats for the
I feel
Cardinals.
they actually have a lot more significance than other jerseys. I feel like everything in that jersey, there's a reason. I watched like the little blip on Instagram during my lunch break today, and they were talking about like the pinstripes. Like the Cardinals haven't had a pinstripe uniform since like the 20s, God knows when, and that the pinstripes represented the rivers coming into the city, basically the Mississippi River. It has the arch, the fleur de lis that represents the city, and it's the first red jersey, I don't know, since God knows when. So, hey, I wish they would bring back. I wish they brought back the powder blues, but it is.
Well,
what
I think
it
it's
is.
something to do with Fanatics not getting those ready in time or something this season. Classic.
Of course, Fanatics. Michael Rubin screwing the bag.
And Cardinals sneakily been playing a little bit better baseball of late. They're actually beating the Orioles right now, 5-0 at home. So
Sonny Gray bouncing back right now. Thank God. So they're actually no hit right now, Baltimore. Now that I say that, I'll watch the game. Sonny Gray will go give up like 4 earned. Like that's how it always happens. I'll see one of my fantasy baseball pitchers pitching well, and then I'm like, oh yeah, let's go tune in. And then like, oh yep, loads the bases. Betting segment. I took the dub this week. Tigers beat the Diamondbacks, beat them down on Friday and Saturday. I'm on a heater right now. I'm taking so my bet of the week. We're going to Friday to Sunday series, and I'm gonna take the Boston Red Sox over the Milwaukee Brewers. They got Tanner Hoke pitching and Cutter Crawford. So I'm taking my odds that they go shut down Milwaukee in Milwaukee. Yeah, they're traveling. They're in Tampa right now. They travel from Tampa to Milwaukee. It's not cross-country trip. But I feel Cora will have the boys playing this weekend. I'm taking the Sox. Got a travel day on Thursday, so one day to get acclimated to that central time zone in that Milwaukee weather. So give me Boston over Milwaukee.
Okay, that's a good pick. I like those pitching matchups. I'm going with Tampa Bay to win the series this weekend over Kansas City. Kansas City playing good ball, but the Rays have been getting going of late. They won 3 of 4 against Boston last week, and then won 2 of 3 in Toronto. They're losing in out of Boston, but I think they're slowly starting to turn things around. We talked about Isaac Paredes. They're 2 games over 500. They're better than where they were at the start of the season, hovering around 500, just under 500. Kansas City's traveling from KC. They play Wednesday, don't play Thursday, and then they're into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's home all week, so I like that. You got Savale, Bradley, and Little versus Lugo, Singer, and Waka. So tough pitching matchups, but kind of going against the grain. Probably get some plus odds on this one. And I'm going with the Rays to beat the Royals over the weekend in Tampa. Another
series I liked was the Texas over Houston. No, Texas over Minnesota.
Okay.
But I have no confidence that Texas can actually produce 9 innings of good pitching.
Yeah. Another one that I had – sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that they played, I think it was like 13 innings on Saturday night. I literally finished a whole 3-episode Netflix documentary when they were in the 7th inning. Like I finished it and I was like, oh, the game just ended in the 14th, 13th.
Which documentary?
We're not going to talk about it on the podcast.
All right. I also kind of, and I couldn't do this in my official pick, but I think the Padres have a good chance of winning the series against the Yankees this weekend. The Yankees fly out there after their game on Thursday, and then they play Friday night in San Diego. And I already talked; they have to face Darvish, Cease, and Joe Musgrove. So San Diego has a good chance to win that series. I think. I just can't do that. Can't bet against my team.
Team of the week, catcher Tyler Stevenson, Cincinnati. First baseman Josh Bell, Miami. Second baseman Andreas Jimenez, Cleveland. Third baseman Joey Ortiz, Milwaukee. Shortstop Zach Neto, Angels. Outfielder 1, Aaron Judge. Oh, I did a typo. Outfielder 2, Kyle Tucker. Outfielder 3, Jake Myers. DH, Giancarlo Stanton. Our pitchers are Shota Imanaga and Luis Gil, with our relievers Reed Garrett from the Mets and Andres Munoz. Any
Reed
comments on
Garrett's
this?
just going to be in there. Reed Garrett's going to be in there every week, seems like.
Reed Garrett might be the representative for the Mets at the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's trending that way right now. Yeah.
Unless Polar Pete makes it off of you know what I mean. It makes it off of fan vote.
Yeah.
So, but that wraps it up for this week. What do you got? What do you got scheduled up? A couple articles and whatnot coming to the pod, or just keep it tapped into Locked In Sports 0 at X, Locked In Sports Pod on Instagram, and Locked In Sports Pod at YouTube. If you got anything,
I got nothing else. That was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed the positional rankings. Doing a little something different this week. We'll be back next week, Sunday or Monday. Next week's Memorial Day weekend, so
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, it was fun.
Sounds good.
All right, you got anything else? Or you good too?
I'm good too. Keep it locked.
All right, thank you all for listening. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace out.